Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Dave Sturchio. It is Chris Gueci returning from the mountains. Are you doing all right, buddy?
I'm a little sore. It's like a full 48 plus 12. It's like 60 hours after the fact, and I'm still doing.
So it's like doing legs for the first time at the gym for like after a while, and then like the 2-day delay.
It's like being in a car accident for the first time. Actually, it's a better way to put it because it's not my legs. It's every single inch. My elbows, my wrists, my.
How'd you break your falls? All your wrists and your elbows and stuff.
Butt cheeks, elbows, wrists, shoulders. I'm feeling all the impact.
Oh, definitely. Well, the impact. A lot of stuff going on last night. And obviously, we can kind of get right into it. Not as a crazy of a night. The NBA was kind of light. There was some NFL stuff. We'll get into that. But again, thank you guys for watching and tuning in. And, of course, we start with the NBA last night. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks have defeated the Boston Celtics, the best team in basketball right now, and I'm very, very excited about it. Yes, given, did Tatum get ejected after 2 technicals? Sure. Did Jaylen Brown not play? Okay. Show me all that, and I'll show you reasons why we should win the game, and they did. Julius Randle obviously led all the scoring. He actually was tied with the lead of scoring. 23 at Randle, 23 off the bench from my guy, Emmanuel Quickly. That dude is a firecracker. Every time he comes on the court, he is making it rain out there. I love it. And, of course, Brunson does his norm. He sinks 17. My question to you is, they've moved up to the 5. They're 2.5 games back from the 4. They're 8.5 back from the 1. What kind of noise can the New York Knicks make here after a win like this?
We're at a point now in the season where we're looking at, I know we're going to get to the LeBron injury, but he's out a couple weeks potentially. That could be the end of the year. We're at the end of the season right now. This
Less
is a
than 20
playoff
games.
push.
Yeah.
The Knicks, I don't know if they're going to make any more gains in terms of seeding because if you look at the teams that are above them,
it's just Cleveland. Just 2.5, right there.
Fair.
That's
Cleveland.
doable.
They could possibly jump.
That's
but
doable. That's absolutely doable.
Cleveland's one of those teams where I feel like they're going to be dangerous come postseason.
They're 4.5 behind the Sixers.
But the Sixers have completely had their number. I don't see them catching the Sixers.
Fine.
But look,
fair.
The Knicks are a better team than I gave them credit for all season. I have to sit here and say that I was wrong about the Knicks. And who was the 5 before this? Was it the Nets?
Yeah, they passed the Nets.
They passed the Nets. All right, fair.
But the Nets should be on their way down.
Exactly.
So that's weird.
Who is exactly above them right now? It's the 3 is the Sixers. The 2 is the
Boston Celtics, who were the 1 yesterday,
is the Bucks.
And the Bucks moved up. But the Bucks actually lost last night. I'm sorry, no, the Bucks. I don't even know why I said that.
The Bucks don't lose.
Bucks have won 14 in a row.
I was going to say, what are you talking
14 in a row, the Bucks. Look, the East obviously is dominated top heavy with the Bucks and the Celtics are playing really good basketball. I heard a little birdie on one of the radio stations that I listen to. Do you think that, and this is just argumentative or debate, is Jaylen Brown in the conversation to be better than Jason Tatum?
No?
You sure?
Yeah.
By all numbers, stats, all that stuff. Jaylen Brown has played very, very good. And, you take away Tatum, right? And I think the team is still a top 5 team in the East.
Fair. If you take away Brown, they're still a top 5 team in the East.
But good thing that they have them both because now they're a top 3 team in the East.
Top 2.
A top 2 team in the East.
So, no, I mean, Tatum, I think, is a top 5 player, arguably, in the whole league. Jaylen Brown is a really nice player, and he's I would say top 15, 20, And
it's nice to have 2 of the top 20 in the league.
This is all subjective. I think Jason Tatum, I don't want to say it's not close, but realistically speaking, I mean, you're not going to find many NBA pundits that are going to say Jaylen Brown is the better overall player than Jason Tatum. He's simply not.
All right. So that little birdie's wrong. It was Michael K. So I knew. I wanted to see you roll your eyes. I knew that was coming. So unfortunate news out of LaMelo Ball. We were just talking about his brother the other day with him missing time. Now LaMelo Ball, non-contact injury, kind of rolls his foot, jumps right off the court, doesn't jump, walks off the court, walks right to the back, knew something was wrong, turns out fractured his ankle. I know a little bit about it. It's unfortunate for him.
At least
He
it
only
wasn't
dropped.
one of
Listen,
those displaced fractures.
yeah.
So
Well, no, it was only he drops 2% in his stock. The Hornets were going nowhere fast. Obviously, they're not a really good team at all, but he's a star in the league, and it just sucks to see him, drop this far into the league, into the season, and he probably won't finish it out.
nope.
So, LeBron. See, I made a joke yesterday. You probably didn't watch the show, but I did make a joke yesterday about how LeBron James, and this is why he falls into that unlikable character category. Best player to maybe ever do it. I'm not taking that away from LeBron James, and his brand is ridiculous. He's just one of the richest dudes, right? I get it. I get all that. But the other day, or I think it was Sunday, he goes up, comes down, looks around, grabs his foot, says, "I heard a pop," and you can see it in his mouth. I heard a pop. I heard a pop. He gets back in there and plays like the following play, and he finishes the game. And I made fun of that. I was like, "This is what a joke." Like he's all like, "Everybody, look at me, look at me, look at me. Hurry up, hold on. My foot hurt. I heard a pop." You're right. Like, first of all, I don't know if you heard a pop of any significance, but it turns out LeBron James is now set to miss.
So he actually
a
did
couple
hear a
weeks.
pop,
He
apparently.
did something. He did something. It's
Look,
legitimate now.
It doesn't strike me as odd or alarming that a star athlete is seeking attention. That's not a new thing here, and nor is it a new thing for LeBron. I feel like it's just something that you've come to accept. At least I have. It has zero bearing. Probably the best thing that happened to LeBron this season right now is to have his foot pop so he doesn't have to play the rest of the year and he can preserve his body for the next two, because I know that this isn't LeBron's thinking, because I would never, ever, ever go this direction in talking LeBron James, because I know he wants to win. But the season's a wrap. It was a wrap even if LeBron didn't get hurt.
They were only a half game out of that play-in spot, man. A half game. They were there 3 games under 500.
The
That just goes to show
danger
you.
here is, does the team play better down the stretch with no LeBron? Because there is a possibility of that. If Anthony Davis just takes the reins and he says, you know what, I'm going to be 40, 15, and 10 or 40, 15, and 7 every night. They have another guy that could score in D'Angelo Russell. The recipe is there for them to win some games. It's not outside the realm that they still make the playoffs.
So
And
then you
LeBron
think
comes back.
that, I was going to say, you think we're 3 weeks away from the conversation of like, the Lakers are still a half game out, and LeBron is 2 days away, with like 3 games to play, and all of a sudden,
I wouldn't
legacy
say
builder.
we've heard the last of LeBron for this season just yet.
No, I
Got a
wouldn't
couple
either.
weeks left. LeBron's going to try to get back, but at the end of it all, I mean, the Lakers they're not going to threaten this year. So
No.
I don't know what the value is there.
The Heat beat the 76ers. I wanted to bring that up only because Jimmy Butler, if you're looking at all of his stats throughout the course of the year, he misses a triple-double by an assist. So he was right there, had a great game. Jimmy Buckets has always been one of my
See
favorite
the stat
guys.
that I saw, speaking of triple-doubles, I think the Nuggets right now, 23-0 when Jokic hits a triple-double. First of all, he's averaging a triple-double.
Is he really averaging a triple-double?
He is. Or very close.
Has
I'm not
anybody
exactly
ever done
sure.
that to
Yeah.
finish the year?
Yeah, Russ like 2 years ago.
Russ, the same Russ that everybody's shoving out of town. Goodbye. Russ Westbrook averaged a triple-double. I'm not Googling it. Averaged a triple-double?
Yes. He might have done it twice.
Oh. And everybody's like, why are you people on him? Like he's like just some detriment to your squad. It's still Russell Westbrook. The dude is an all-star.
23-0.
That's crazy.
23-0.
Listen.
That's the most. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the most insane stat because
Wait, what was the stat?
23-0 when Jokic hits a triple double.
And he plays for Utah, obviously.
No, he plays for the
Denver.
Nuggets.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Looking at Utah, like that's impossible.
But a lot of times, and I'll use Russ as an example. I wouldn't say anything further back because I don't know. But,
Also, the best team in the league. Okay, yeah.
It's been argued that a triple double doesn't necessarily help the team, because it's all one player and too much has to go through that one guy. If you saw what Russ was doing when he was with OKC and then with the Wizards those years, when he was doing these things with the triple doubles, they weren't winning many games. But with Denver, they're winning every game, every single game. So Jokic is by far the MVP.
They're 43 and
I don't even think that's a
19 right
debate,
now.
But we weren't here to talk about Jokic. Go ahead.
No, I'm just
I know
saying
we deviated.
that's a great stat considering the fact that we were just talking about
23-0.
Butler. That is kind of insane. But all right. That's the NBA, So more of a bigger slate starts tonight, and obviously the rest of the week. Mondays are a little quiet as far as the NBA goes. All right, to the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the NFL Combine, and before we can get there and talk about that at all, there's a lot of things that go into the combine, especially specifically the week itself. There's owners down there, there's GMs down there, there's free agents down there. Like it's not just all about the college stars that are about to come into the league. A lot of these business meetings happen, a lot of the owners meetings happen, a lot of the competition committee stuff.
Free agency's about to start.
And March 13th is the tampering, so that's 13 days away.
Right now you get to see it like, all right, is there a lot of receivers available? Is there a lot of guards available? Is there a lot of tight ends available? And then you get to assess the draft before you get to go into free agency, and you say, all right, well, we don't really need to put as much value on tight ends because we like 4 of these guys in the 4th round.
Right. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that's already transpired in this week alone. Last night, the breaking news, something that I've been harping on for I can't even tell you how long. Carson Wentz. Stop me if you've heard this. He's been released. He's been dumped by another team. The Washington Commanders released Carson Wentz yesterday. His stock obviously drops. Sam Howell goes up about 3%. Sam Howell's kind of already announced as the guy. We've already kind of established this that Ron Rivera said he's the guy going forward. They let Taylor Heineke walk, so there's a new place for him potentially. But yeah, what's next for Wentz, man? What's he going to do? Is he ever going to start in this league again? Ever?
No, well, I wouldn't say never.
Not by injury.
I wouldn't say he's never going to start again. I don't think that there's no team or GM that's going to go into a season and say, here, Carson, and hand him the keys. It's going to be an injury situation where he inherits a job, or if he does get an injury situation where he inherits a job and plays well, then he could enter a free agency season and maybe at a desperation a team kicks the tires on Carson Wentz, but a lot has to happen for him to ever get another shot. And though the contract is going to be next to nothing, so when you have a Carson Wentz at the league minimum or whatever the quarterback contract would be for Carson Wentz, because it'll probably be more than the league minimum.
Yeah, of course.
Then it's not so detrimental. Maybe he plays with a different confidence when he doesn't have that contract looming over him. Things like that could change a guy. I don't know. But no, I'm not buying him. No way. Carson Wentz could be shorted day one.
I do have a possible destination for him to start. And I don't think he should start. I don't think he's talented enough to start anymore. I think it's clear the Eagles, the Colts, and now the Washington Commanders have let this guy walk out of town. However, coaching links, you always got to look at that. I think the Carolina Panthers are a good fit for him because of Frank Reich. And I understand the relationship they had with the Colts. I don't know if Frank Reich was like, to the GM to Frank Reich goes, hey, we got Carson Wentz.
Could you imagine being a Panthers fan and then that happening? Being like, all right, Frank Reich, it's like maybe it's not the most exciting splash hire.
I think it's a great hire.
But it's a good hire. It could be a good hire. I like Frank Reich. I think he's the best hire of the offseason. Unless he brings in Carson Wentz to start. Because then it's the worst hire of the offseason. Right. You could not do that to the fans of Carolina.
It's interesting. And in that, a corresponding move, the first franchise tag was finally applied to the I want to say I was upset about it because I thought for sure this guy would hit the market and Cowboys need a run stopper. Daron Payne gets franchise tag in Washington. So there's solidifying up that defensive line. But yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. Carson Wentz will be out there now. He's out there with Derek Carr. He's out there with the Daniel Jones. Technically, he's out there. We'll see if he lands on his feet. Will he be a backup somewhere? Will Dallas entertain a backup spot if Cooper Rush is out the door? So it's just like, okay, one ginger for another. We're good with it.
If we're looking at, I'd rather have Taylor Heineke as the backup.
Oh, I would too.
I mean,
100%.
That's who I'm going after if I'm a GM and I need a backup quarterback. It's Heineke all day.
You just like him.
I love him.
You've seen him one time on McAfee show. He's our favorite player.
He's a Packer fan.
Oh, then maybe you should go back up Jordan Love.
I agree.
Never know.
Bring that on.
So the NFL Combine starts today. Obviously, again, I mentioned before, all the owners are present, GM, scouts, all that stuff. Things will happen with other players outside of the guys that are in there. I will say the one thing it's not alarming because the last time a number 1 overall pick went as a quarterback, he didn't throw at the Combine either. So Bryce Young will not throw. Do you put any stock into this at all?
Nope.
At all?
I'm sure everybody has seen him throw.
Correct. So but this is your chance to showcase your talents in front of everybody.
Is there going to be a pro day?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll throw there. Yeah. No need. All you could do is if you're a projected number 1 pick and you don't go throw at the Combine, nobody's going to be like, number 2 pick now. if you
But does that give the ability to one, I don't know, Anthony Richardson, who we've talked about not at length, but like enough about the fact that he will be throwing. He is a raw guy, and he is going to come out there and try to sling it around Indianapolis.
There's always a calculated risk when we're talking
like, could somebody jump Bryce Young because of a performance?
This, I don't think that there's anything that anyone could do to jump him if he doesn't, just because he's not throwing.
Okay.
You know, if he's doing everything else, correct?
Yeah,
he's going to run. He's going to do all the other tests. So
I just know he's not going to throw.
I don't have any issues with it. It's just par for the course. Don't do anything that's going to be a detriment. Look, when these guys are going out there, not only are they looking for reasons why they might draft you, they're also looking for things they're going to be able to say to you when they go to sign you, and they're going to say, "Hey, you know, you're really good at this, but you can't do this." That's really what the combine gets a lot of people paid. And it works out for a lot of people, but it also ruins a lot of people because they either get bad advice or they don't test well. No reason for it. You're the number one pick projected. You're going to stay there if you don't throw, almost guaranteed. So, no, I'm good with it.
All right. So that's the NFL Combine. Obviously, we're going to find out more as these guys start throwing around and running the 40 and seeing all that stuff. But NFL.com yesterday put out a list of the top 100 free agents available in this year's free agent class. And look, you know, again, March 13th is literally less than 2 weeks away. It's going to be here before you know. That's the tampering period, and obviously that's where everybody gets their deals. March 15th actually starts the new league year, and it's whatchamacallit, it's when the ability to actually sign the actual, you know, put ink to paper. So what I did was I looked at this free agent list yesterday, and I picked out the top 15 offensive players. So there's plenty of defensive players to be had out there. Deron Payne was supposed to be one of them. He will no longer be one of them. So here's the top 15 list. Chris, my question to you is, franchise tag victim or best possible destination? Okay, so that'll be a little bit of a game show here, okay? We'll start with obviously the most coveted free agent right now, technically, is Lamar Jackson. There's the rumors that are still swirling around that now they're very, very far apart. And now there's inklings and just little rumblings that Atlanta seems to be one of the top destinations. What happens to Lamar Jackson in a week from now?
He's going to get tagged. He's not going to just be a free agent, unrestricted. There's a 0% chance of that. I would say they're not going to work out a deal in time.
Which will be about it'll be $32 million to tag him.
They're pretty far apart. He's going to get tagged, and then they either work out the extension over that period that they extend because they tagged him, so they have exclusive rights to him, or it just doesn't work out, and then you see a very similar situation to what happened with Devontae in Green Bay last year, where they tag him
and ship him,
and then they ship him. So we'll see. I don't know. Lamar and Baltimore, I thought it was almost guaranteed that he would be there, but as you get closer to these things being a reality in terms of the franchise tag and things like that, the minute they place that franchise tag on him, I wouldn't say it's going to sever the relationship.
But he has to know
because he understands
it's
the way the business works.
They're not just going to let him walk out the front door and say thanks for everything. You know what I mean? Like, this is coming.
In negotiations, you have to act like it's the end of the world.
Sure.
Otherwise, you kind of show your hand. So I don't know. That's going to get ugly before it gets pretty. I could promise you that. Geno, Seattle. That's almost.
So he gets re-signed before free agency.
Yeah.
The only reason why I put Orlando Brown on their offensive line, the Chiefs obviously have a lot of moves to make. There is another Chief on this list. But just solidifying that offensive line, I think this guy walks. And that's going to bolster other people's stock value, meaning like just obviously more protection. It all starts up front, guys. I know you like to love the quarterbacks and the running backs and the receivers of the world and tight ends, right? All the skill positions, the guys that score touchdowns. It all starts up front. Yeah. Orlando Brown's going to make some money somewhere, and wherever he goes, everybody around him gets better.
If they don't use the tag on him, which I don't think the Chiefs are really in a position to use the tag on anybody. I read an article saying that the Chiefs probably won't tag anybody. I don't know how true that article was, and I don't even know who wrote it. I don't have the quotes or anything like that, but I would say he probably walks as well. It's very rare that free agent left tackles that don't get franchise tagged get to stick around. When they hit the market, they get signed.
Daniel Jones, and I guess we'll just number 4 is Daniel Jones. Number 6 is Saquon Barkley. What is the verdict, man? What do you think?
I think Daniel Jones gets worked out a long-term deal, and I think Saquon gets tagged. So we'll just play those two right now, and we'll get to Derek Carr in a second.
Derek Carr now, who apparently a handful of teams, quote, handful of teams.
I just want to run that back real quick, though. I do think there is a real risk, though, if they don't get Daniel Jones worked out soon, that Barkley's gone.
Barkley's gone. So the trickle-down effect happens immediately because they're so focused in on trying to get Daniel Jones locked.
Well, they have to.
Barkley gets an offer.
They have to. If because they can't go ahead and tag Barkley. I think Barkley gets the tag before Daniel Jones does if they had it their way.
Makes sense.
But they want to get the quarterback situation sorted first. That's just business, good business. Who are we talking about here? It's like you sign the quarterback first. If they get Daniel Jones signed, then they could enter the conversation with Saquon, and if it doesn't go well, then they could tag him. If they don't get Daniel Jones signed, they have to tag him. And then you go and you turn to Saquon and you say, okay, do we throw the bank at him before we even finish negotiations with the quarterback? I don't think that's very likely. I think they play it safe. And they create more of a window for themselves with Saquon. They give him the tag. It doesn't mean that he doesn't get signed to a long-term deal, but at the end of it all, Saquon is the guy that I feel like is a bigger risk for the Giants. He's proven less, even though Daniel Jones hasn't proved much, but he's been on the field and he has not wavered. He hasn't shown any reason why you wouldn't feel like Daniel Jones is the guy outside of the initial bumps and bruises or bumps in the road when it comes to a young quarterback. I like Daniel Jones. The Giants are smart. They're going to sign him long-term first, keep Saquon. But I do think Saquon goes somewhere else possibly. It's like a 50-50 shot at this point. And I've been reading the Bills. There's a lot of teams will be interested. But
if
the Bills,
that guy goes to Buffalo.
But if Saquon goes to the Bills, it makes that offense just even more dynamic.
Are you kidding? I've been saying that the Bills have been missing a running game for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, and look, I'm not taking any credit away from Devin Singletary and the Zach Mosses before traded away and anybody they've brought in there. And now Dalvin Cook's little brother, like James Cook. I've never taken anything away from Buffalo, but boy, oh boy, if you can pony up and get Saquon Barkley in that team, you are the odds-on favorite to take the AFC. 110%.
They might enter the season that anyway.
Maybe. So Derek Carr says there's a, quote, handful of teams that he's going to be visiting during the Combine. Are you worried at all that something hasn't been done yet with Derek Carr? Because he's the only one with the ability to sign right now and doesn't have to wait for this.
No, but he's still the only one with the ability to sign right now. Still, currently.
For the next 2 weeks, he's still the only one.
So you have 2 weeks. There's no rush. You have to hear out the process. He heard from the Jets. He heard from the Saints. And then he said, okay, now I'm going to let this marinate for a little bit. Maybe they release, he's close to signing with the Jets. The Jets really want Derek Carr. And then a couple other teams are like, damn.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
then they're like, maybe, I want Derek Carr. And then Derek Carr has a right, and he's smart to hear out every offer because it could be something that he really, really likes.
The only problem I have with this right now is that I don't think anybody covets Derek Carr as their future quarterback. Because if that was the case, they would have thrown the bank at him and said, you're the guy, and made him an offer he can't refuse, Godfather style. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, I feel like the more this drags on with Derek Carr sitting around in free agency, it's not him entertaining deals. It's the NFL teams not believing that Derek Carr could be the guy.
No, because there's two teams that have standing offers that are multiple years, 3 years or more, right? For Derek Carr.
The Saints?
The Saints and the Jets.
I don't know the Jets have an offer on the table.
Well, the Jets are offering Derek Carr. Derek Carr could sign with the New York Jets. If Derek Carr called them tomorrow and said, I want let's do it. They were talking about Hall of Fame. Is there an actual offer? Maybe not, like a formal, but they've talked.
They can. Not with not knowing what Aaron Rodgers wants to do.
Well, they can. They absolutely can. It wouldn't. I'm not saying it's good business, but there's people in that building that would rather Derek Carr at the cost than an Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
On that.
I agree, but what I'm saying is I don't think there's an offer from the Jets right now because if all of a sudden they're like, here, man, here's our offer, and he's like, okay, and they sign it. He's like, wait, but Aaron.
So there's no offer.
I don't think it's an offer.
But if Derek Carr said, okay, look, I'm about to sign with the Saints. What's your offer? You don't think the Jets are going to give him one? You think the Jets are going to say, never mind.
I said this weeks ago. I said that the Jets have a possibility to lose out on both guys because they're dragging their feet. And there's no reason to wait around on Aaron Rodgers right now.
Do you not think that they're aware of this? Do you not think that they know that there's a volatility attached to Aaron Rodgers? If that happens in the next couple of days, if so be so, that'll be all great. The Jets could get it figured out based on the knowledge that they have. But there's a lot that has to happen there, too. You got to get a deal worked out. You got to make sure the contract lines up. Is Rodgers going to do a restructure after the trade?
Has to.
Not really.
Has to.
I mean, he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to do anything, but he will if he wants to play for the Jets. He will if he wants to play anywhere else. There's nobody who's like, sure, I'll pay you $60 million. Go ahead.
Well, I think if he plays for the Packers, there's also a restructure involved.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Just like I've heard rumblings that they're going to, I know Cowboys fans might be up in arms, but guess what, guys? Dak Prescott's about to get re-signed and extended.
The writing is on the wall.
Get ready for it.
I think Derek Carr gets. He has offers. If he's doesn't have offers, he can have offers. If he said, "Hey, I'm about to sign here. What's your offer?" They would offer him something. And there's 3 other teams that are talking to him. So I wouldn't say that nobody believes in Derek Carr right now. Outside of Lamar, I wouldn't even put him above. I would put Derek Carr above Daniel Jones and Geno.
What about Jimmy G?
I would take Derek Carr over all the quarterbacks outside of Lamar. And honestly, there's no guaranteeing that Lamar is even fully better than Derek Carr for every team. Some teams maybe.
Okay. Just to kind of fly down the list after that, Odell Beckham Jr., obviously he kind of went on a date with the Cowboys last offseason, right before the end of December. There was rumors that he was going to sign there. Obviously, the knee wasn't ready. But, of course, in typical OBJ form, he's got workout videos out there. He's putting them all out there saying, hey, I'm ready. Here we go. What's the market for OBJ? Do you think it's a done deal in Dallas? Do you think they basically told him, like, hey, man, we're going to give you all this, but you got to get right first. We can't pay you right now.
Can I say what I think is going to happen with OBJ?
I would love to hear what you think is going to happen.
OBJ is going to be the last free agent to sign again. He's going to wait. It's going to be about when they're in camp, OBJ is going to be talking to teams still. That's what you're going to see. He's going to wait again. He's going to let it play out. And I don't know that that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if it's because he's not ready, or he just likes attention, or all of the above.
Do you think there's an actual sweepstakes for this guy?
No, I don't. I don't think that there is. But he would be smart to let everyone else sign, be the last guy again, right? And then maybe even let the season start a little bit and see where things go. We're ring chasing here with Odell. If you haven't figured that out by now. I don't know. I don't know that Odell. He doesn't really move the needle for me at this point. After the saga last season, where he made it like all about him. Who's going to sign me? I'm going to give you guys the extra edge, and he never even ran a route for a team. No. So not even in a workout, not even in a, hey, look at what I got. So, nope. I'm out on Odell until I see that he can actually take the field for a team.
You're not the only one to think like that. Trust me when I tell you. Josh Jacobs, I would assume he gets paid in Vegas to stay long term, right? I mean, I don't think
he's going to. I think he's going to get money from Vegas. I don't think he's going to get the bank because I think he just played his situation poorly. He's talking like he wants to be there long term, and he doesn't really need the big payday. Blah blah blah. Worst thing you could possibly say.
Out.
Entering contract season at
like
at
shut
the running back position,
Josh.
But for some reason they might not like him there. Like who knows what's going on in Vegas.
Interesting name that pops up. He always kind of produces a little bit here and there. Jacoby Myers. I think there's an actual market for this guy. I think he's obviously out in New England. I don't think they're going to actually pay this dude what he's worth. I could see him landing in a spot where he could be the solid number 2. I don't know if he could lead the team and receive. Like he's obviously the number 1, you would think, in New England. So he's probably going to go somewhere to be a number 2. I don't know if he's built to be a number 1 anymore. I don't think he could be even touted as that.
I could see him going to like the Ravens or something, just adding a piece to that receiving core. But really, I think what he does well, and a lot of times when you see this come out of New England, guys keep their job. And even more so, he's a good receiver, but he could block really well in the run game. That helps a team. I would take Jacoby Myers if Lazard was to walk. I would take him as a little piece.
You want him?
Well, there is no guarantees that anybody's walking. If the Packers end up...
Lazard already feels like he's worth probably more than the Packers are willing to spend.
Well, there's also a lot of things that might take place in terms of what happens with Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see.
True. 2 Dallas Cowboys are actually back-to-back here, 10 and 11. Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard. There's only one tag to go around, and I think Stephen Jones has made it pretty clear that Tony Pollard is going to get that tag for the $10.1 million. Dalton Schultz out of town. I don't like it. Personally, I think he's got a nice little rapport with Dak, but I think he's going to get paid and maybe overpaid somewhere else. Maybe L.A., I would say, like the Chargers, because of obviously their tight end situation right now. We all like single-digit Everett last year, but imagine putting a Dalton Schultz in that offense with Kellen Moore at the helm calling the plays. That could be a good fit and an overspend for the Chargers.
I'm not sure what the market would be for Schultz. I know there will be one. I don't know exactly what team. I haven't looked into that. If I'm thinking about like a good fit, Imagine him going to the Bengals or something like that. That would be a nice fit.
Don't want to hear that. We talked about the Chiefs before.
I think
Juju
Pollard stays. Schultz is out.
Yeah,
we
Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent. Probably is the best free agent available right now in the receiver market. Not very good. So if a lot of these GMs probably know that right now, so he's probably not going to get top dollar, and there's going to be a plethora, I like that word, of receivers taken in this year's draft. So it's just like we're going to build some new stars before we get this guy on our roster. I don't know what he provides
I think
anymore.
there's a real chance he sticks around in KC at another 1-year deal.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe a 2-year deal.
Okay.
But the Chiefs have Kadarius Toney, and then they have Sky Moore on the come up. So I think that they have some weapons, but they are losing Mecole Hardman. I think MVS is there still.
Oh, and they actually just declined, as we're going to bring this up, they declined the 5th-year option for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was kind of, writing was on the wall with that one.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't mention him here, and I didn't see him in the top 15, and I don't think I passed him. But yesterday on Mojo, there was a big bet alert. I love these big bet alerts, by the way. A $10,000 bet with a 5-time multiplier on Miles Sanders to go long on Miles Sanders. I guess maybe somebody might know something about something. Maybe like a team that might be interested in this guy, or is Philly going to give him the bag? I don't know. But rounding out this list, Jimmy G, obviously we talked about him at length. 2 tight ends, Evan Ingram, Mike Gesicki. Jimmy G's market, he's going to be like probably the 4th domino to fall. Like you got to wait for Rodgers, you got to wait for Carr, you got to wait for Lamar. Then you're going to go talk about the Jimmy G's and co.
The
right?
Bakers.
Yeah, and the Baker Mayfields and so on. So we got a lot of interesting stuff about to come up on this Mojo Market Report. You have to keep tuned in every day right here on YouTube. And you can do all this by following us right now, ladies and gentlemen. You can do that by heading on over to the TikTok, the Instagram, and the Twitter at Mojo, M-O-J-O. And, of course, join us on the Discord every day. Discord is a daily conversation on this whole thing. Look, I put Mojo right over your head, actually. You're just the Mojo Grace guy. That's on me. So if you want to bring down the sign, you can. This has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. I'll get that fixed one day without a producer, and the whole thing just goes awry. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good day, and safe betting out there, everybody. Don't go crazy.
Peace.